All right, there we are.
So I just looked on my phone. I'm watching the feed to make sure it's working, and we're about 25-second lag. I was always wondering what the lag was. It's about 25 seconds.
Well, it could be your area too. I mean, you are still riding the pack mule to work every day, aren't you?
We are. We're trying to, and boom, there we just kicked on the screen there. So yeah, it's about
It must
25-second lag.
it must be really cold when you got to go out to the outhouse every day to go to the bathroom.
At the outhouse with no door.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Get yourself a buffalo skin for the wintertime. Cut down on the wind.
Yeah, I thought I'd change it up and put the green screen up today. So
I love the background.
yeah, so just for
Sure.
fun, I might even paint that one back wall of mine in the studio there. That one that was gray. I might paint that into this kind of lime green so that I've always got a permanent green screen.
Nice. Nice.
Haven't decided yet.
So before we get into it, maybe I'll just do a quick sort of like blurb as to how this topic came about, and maybe you can sort of update us onto some of the stuff that's been going on in your area regarding the COVID and all that. But I'm not 100% sure I remember exactly how this topic came up, but it sort of hit me last week, as I often get ideas that constantly seem to implode in my brain. And I was thinking about, okay, what are some of the things you can do while you're in lockdown? I mean, you can't work, we can't work, we're non-essential. And instead of being in a constant state of frustration and in a constant state of Netflixing it, there's a lot of stuff we can do. And I started thinking about that. And I was like, oh, this would be a really good topic to hit up with John for one of our Photo Buzz episodes. And I think I emailed you or texted you right away, and you jumped
Yep,
on it right away. And
did.
the idea was to come up with 5 different items for a list of 10, but I think we ended up with about 10 or more items each. John's got his notes,
Yeah, I
as
got
do
them.
I.
They came nice and quick to me. So
There you go. Great minds think alike.
yeah,
So that's going to be the gist of this conversation. So before hopefully some people join us, I hope they do.
yeah,
But
we've
if
got some
not,
viewers on there.
oh, good, good. And as usual, I'd like to hear as well as John. We'd both love to hear your input on any of these ideas.
Yeah, definitely, because it's not just what we think. I mean, there's a lot of other working ones out there that I'm sure could do really well too.
Yeah, and once you get that brainstorming session going, things just seem to flow. The floodgates open up, and ideas flow if you're open to it. So, but on
Definitely.
that, let's. So, what's going on with your studio, John? What's the
Well,
you
we're
said?
in the Ottawa Valley, which is considered Renfrew County in Ontario here.
All right,
And so I've been in talk with a very nice lady. I feel bad for these inspectors of the health unit because they're the ones that get crapped on all the time
right,
when it comes to the bad news, and all they're doing is following orders from the government and from their bosses. So
yeah,
her and I have been in constant contact over the last 2 weeks, and because we were trying to figure out what the government means by commercial photography, because when these lockdowns came out last month, it stated in there commercial and industrial photography was permitted, retail was not. So we had to figure out what did they. I thought, okay, is retail like a Walmart portrait studio? Is that retail? Is retail more like a store where you're selling products at the front? Or how did they do it? So I went and did some research on my own because she asked me, can you do me a favor? Can you go and find a website in the photography industry of what photographers in the industry consider commercial photography, because of course I do a lot of headshots in my studio and I do passport photos, which is a government document. You would think they would let me do that, and things like that. So I found a lot. I went to PPA. I went on to which was almost the same as PPOC, and I tried to let her understand. Some of these are U.S. websites, but it's North American photographers. It's not just Canadian and U.S.
yeah.
And I found a couple other ones through like f-stoppers, things like that, and they all stated basically the same thing. And what it was is, when it comes to commercial photography, it's anything to do with what do you call it? Business to business, where you're doing photographs for a business to promote them, their service or their product, such as headshots, product shots, real estate, going to a company and shooting their employees working on the job. Anything to do that would help them promote their business is what we in the photography industry consider commercial. I also have a commercial studio space that I do a lot of my stuff in. It's what I consider. And then you have things like personal, which would be like family portraits, babies, newborns, anything to do that's for personal reasons is what we would consider most likely to be retail. So I tried to explain that to her. I sent her websites, and she got back to me about a day or two later and stated that she sent that to her bosses. And according to her bosses, what they configured was commercial is more product photography, real estate photography, because real estate agents right now are considered essential. So if they need pictures to sell their products on MLS, their houses and stuff, you can go and do retail or do real estate photography. Product photographs, I can have them come in and drop off their products. I can shoot them and then email them to let them know their stuff's ready to be picked up, and then I can send them their images, things like that. I can't have people-to-people photography in my studio space. But the funny part about it is, she said, they have no problem with me going on location to shoot. I just can't do it in my studio. I can't bring them in my studio. So I can go to Remax, set up a backdrop and lights and say, hey, anybody need photos? We can do them here. To me, it's the same thing. It's just in a different building. But I can do that. It sounds really weird, but that's what she told me. So we're like this at least until February 11th, until we find out, can we open, or are they going to extend it again?
Well, it's a good thing you inquired. And, you know, it seems to me that to a degree there's some confusion, because she had to go to her upper higher ups, and they had to sort of, I guess, well, I don't know, and they had to come up with an answer. And there's probably a level of subjectivity to all this. Let me just tell you quickly, back in the spring, I went on the website when we were in full lockdown, if you remember. And it said on the website for Ontario, the stipulation was, like, I mean, if you were a restaurant, a massage parlor, hair salon, yada, 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 no go, can't open, takeout only. If you were a commercial or a retail outlet and you had this certain stipulation where your front door opened up onto a sidewalk, as long as you followed these rules, you could open, as long as you weren't one of those businesses. And that's when I called them and I said, I seem to fit in this category because I'm a photographer. It doesn't say no photographers. So that was right when we were allowed, it was like about a week or so before they actually opened up anyways. So I opened up 2 weeks early, knowing that those were the rules. Now you're telling me what you're telling me. It's like, so we're kind of like, they're focusing in on us more, and they're putting us more in the defining us as a specific business, which is kind of weird, because there's not a lot of photographers out there with actual retail spaces. They're far fewer than days gone by. So I think there's some confusion there, and you got all that sort of bungling going on, but hopefully it all comes to an end very, very soon. I just hope so that we can all get back to work. John, you were saying you're getting calls every day.
Oh, yeah. I've got about, in the last 2 weeks, I've got about two real estate agents that need headshots done. And I've got one lady who's a friend of mine. She just got a new job at the Algonquin College here, and on one of their boards, and she needs a headshot for that. And her boss said, when she told her she was coming to make headshots, she wants them done too. So I got at least 4 lined up in the last, say, week, and I can't even bring them in and shoot them yet. And
but you could shoot them on location. Are you going to go on location?
I haven't decided yet. I have to figure out what's going on first, because I've also get like 2 or 3 people a day calling me. They need either a passport photo or a permanent residency card photo, which is the same as a passport photo. And I have to tell them, well, until the 11th, I can't bring you in here and do a passport photo. Sorry.
So you're doing passports?
We do passports on location here. It takes about 10 minutes. My wife actually designed me a little 4x6 template in Photoshop that has that head and shoulder cutout that's on the application.
So
it has 2 of them there. Exact. And so I just shoot it in Lightroom, bring it into Photoshop, line up the head sizes, print it, and cut them, stamp them, and send them on the way 10 minutes later.
So what kind of printer are you using?
I have a DNP printer. It's a sublimation printer. It's I think DS620 or something. It does up to, you can get the 4x6 paper or the 5x7 paper for that one.
So
Warren has the same one.
We got Dan Morency with us here, the stalker, who's probably, of all the photographers I've ever met in my lifetime, has probably shot more passports than anybody. I mean, I think the member of parliament from his riding used to organize passport days at his studio where people would come there and they can apply for a passport and get their photos done, yada, yada, yada. So, Dan, what do you got to say about passports? Are you still doing them, or are you just sort of like before on hold? Oh, Dan says he's shooting 2 houses on Friday for real estate agents.
Yeah.
Before Dan answers, because there's a little bit of a delay, I got to ask you, John.
Yeah.
Did you not love that conversation we had last week with Randy Sarton?
I thought it was an awesome one because I learned a lot from it myself. Because I do a lot of real estate, or I used to, but I never had the tilt and shift lens, and I was very amazed about that itself.
Well, yeah, you just offended poor Randy. Because he would say it's not real estate photography, it's architectural.
Well, yeah, his is architectural. It is different.
Big difference. So,
Yeah.
and especially in the amount of money he's charging and making for those jobs. But yeah, if you're watching this and you haven't watched the one from last week, the Photo Buzz with Randy, it just blew me away. So Dan says he has a waiting list of people that want passport photos.
So he must be doing them too.
Yeah, and I think he's got a dye sub printer as well.
Yeah, Hark here. He hasn't clicked on the link, so it doesn't show his name there, but that's Hark, and he says the DNP 620, so I guess he has it too. I know Warren has, I think, the 820, which does up to 8x12s and 8x10s. So he uses...
All you need is a small one because they're passports, and if that's all you want to do, right?
Yeah, and I use it for my, like, when I do our Santa pictures. It's beautiful because it prints out in 10 seconds. So I shoot tethered to Lightroom. My wife goes over it with them, says, which shot do you like? When they say, yeah, I want that one and I want 4 copies of it, she just hits ×4 and boom, 10 seconds later it starts printing 4 copies, and it's fast. I like it. And it's rolls too, rolls and ribbon. It's not individual inks like my old Epson.
Nice.
So each roll gets at least 400 4x6 prints off of it with that ribbon.
Yeah. You just mentioned Warren. He doesn't know this yet, but I haven't hit him up yet, but I'm hoping to get him on next week. So
that would be cool.
All right, let's talk about our theme today, and that is, I mean, in a sense, you could say that we've already gotten into it because we're talking about running our studios, and you've got a waiting list. Dan says he get calls every day, and he's got a waiting list, answering the phones, and there's a waiting list. So one of the things we can do while we're waiting for the doors to open is to create a waiting list. I don't know about you, but I would be really tempted to look at Facebook ads to promote headshots on location since they're legal. That would be the angle, would be like, do you want high quality professional headshots? We can legally do them on location. We follow all protocol and blah, 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 blah. Just a thought. So,
Definitely.
But yeah, well, why don't you...
and I would. It's just some of these places don't have the room or the space, so they're not interested in having me come there. They all just say, you know what, when you're ready, I'll just come to you.
All right.
So
and the ones that don't have a big space, you know what I would tell them?
You don't need a big space.
I would say you need a bigger boat. Get a bigger boat, man.
Well, even this backdrop here, this is only one of those pop-up ones. It's like 5 by 7, 5 feet by 7 feet. And I have another one. This is green on the one side and that bluish color on the other side that you do for blue screen and green screen. Yep. But I have one that's white on one side and black on the other. And I've done that many times on location. Set up the white side and use that for a portable studio. The
bigger studio you have, it's like having a bigger lens. It makes you a better photographer. Don't you know that?
Of course. It's exactly. Somebody was asking me, what is something that creatives hear questions-wise or comments from people that drives them nuts? And one of the comments I put in there is, wow, those pictures are nice. You must have a nice camera.
That's all you need. So we're talking about things that you can do while you're in lockdown. And do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
I can start one if you want. Because we probably have a lot of same things.
We'll try. We're probably going to end up with about 20 of them, so we'll try not to dwell too long on each or any one of them. Just kind of run through them all.
Exactly. I'm just trying to see which one would be a good one to start with. One thing that I'm doing right now is clean house, and what I mean by that is props, equipment, and physically cleaning. There you go.
That's my number 3.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going not in order, but to me, it's not just even meaning like getting a mop and bucket. Although we just got new mops and everything, and we actually are going through this whole studio this week, and we're going to be cleaning it up. Well, my wife says I'm cleaning it, but we're going to be cleaning it out and stuff. But I also mean like props and equipment. Go through your inventory, see what you have and what you don't use much anymore. There's a lot of places I've noticed on Facebook. They're calling dehatching or whatever they call it, where they have backdrops that they haven't used in years, and they're trying to sell them, and they'll trade them with somebody else that has a nice backdrop. But look at your backdrops, look at your lighting, look at your props that you have. Are there stuff there that you're not using anymore that you can clean out of your studio and make more room and just get rid of the clutter? I think that's a big thing to start with too. It's just you have the time to do it.
Yeah, and photographers, we tend to be pack ratty-ish, don't we? We all got those boxes, and so many times in my life I've gone through purges where, I mean, what am I doing with 18 backdrops that I'm never going to use? Then I get rid of them, then I start buying them again, and I'm going through the buying them again phase right now.
Yeah.
But you're
well, I'm starting to do more almost like what Maggie does a lot. You know how she'll just shoot on white or gray or black, and then she uses her textures in Photoshop and does it that way. I've been doing that quite a bit lately, and I actually just downloaded a pack from a guy named Sean Archer out of the UK, and he had this pack he got where it was very cheap. It was like $30 or something like that, or $39, but it gave you these different textures. It gives you these different, how you can colorize them, and it's all done in Photoshop on this one little layered type thing. So you just cut out the model, bring them in. The backdrop's already there for you, and then you add whatever textures, and that it's actually really good. It's going to speed things up, and it'll be more for my glamour stuff and my family portraits and stuff.
beautiful. I just Googled them, and yeah, that's really, really nice. And those are all textures.
They're all textures. He shoots against a gray backdrop or whatever, and then he adds the textures, or he just cuts the model out and puts them on this thing. And I could show you. Maybe we'll go on and show it later or sometime.
Well, there you go. And I love that Maggie does that, and she has a very artistic angle to her look. And and I find it's just so hard. If I were, and I know where you're coming from, and I've experimented and have used that approach in my studio. But then I kind of get away. Oh, if I just would set up that backdrop, and it's hard to resist.
I have three textured backdrop, like marble, like my gray one I use for my grad pictures and that, but I use it for family pictures too. I have a brownish yellow one, and then I have this other. I know you've probably seen some of the episodes I do for John and Dave TV, and we have that kind of beigey, cloudy backdrop. That's actually one of mine. That's at the actual Your TV studios. So those are the three basic ones I have. The rest are just a white one and my white wall and black and gray. That's it. That's all I own.
I can't stand a lot of backdrops that are made out of muslin because they get so wrinkly, and that's a real hassle, But
and these pop-up ones are awesome. And I just bought a couple new ones. I was on here a couple episodes back with a bluish silver one that I did. They're great, but they're only 5 foot by 7, so they're only good for 3/4 shots or head and shoulder shots type of thing. So there's only so much you can do with them.
So get a new mop and clean house. That's I got that one, so I'm not even going to go into that on my list. But I can, before we get on to the next item, I have right here. I just want to say this about cleaning house. Tell you a quick story. In 2000, my buddy and I that I knew from Toastmasters, we became good friends. We were out having a cigar one night after one of our Toastmasters meeting, and I said to him, do you want to get into real estate? I always wanted to get into real estate. And he said, yeah. And we did eventually, and we did quite well. But that week I got on, I don't think Google was out yet. So there was like Yahoo and Alta Vista. And I went and searched Canadian real estate investing, blah, 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 blah. And I found this guy named Raymond Aaron out of Toronto he used to be a real estate guru, but at that time in 2000, he was doing a monthly group coaching thing, which totally freaking sold me. So I signed up for it. It was 17 months, and I was like $200 a month. I had to drive down to Richmond Hill, attend a 3-hour meeting, come back. It was one of the best things I'd ever done. Now, all that to say, he had categories. Everything was goal setting. One of the categories he had was clean your messes, and that just blew me away. And that was from everything from the excess of keys on your keychain to your closet to your car, the trunk of your car, your closet, your garage. You just got to remove all this stuff because all this stuff is cluttering and getting in the way. It's like a concrete barrier between you and your goals. So yeah, cleaning house. I'm glad it's number one. I'm glad you brought it up as number one.
Yeah, I think it's a big important thing. You got the time to do it. Do it.
Yeah, there's something also very spiritual in many ways, because if you get into, Marie Kondo, whatever, she's the Japanese. She wrote the book about decluttering,
Oh,
and
okay.
yeah, Kondi, I think is Kondi or something like that. And
Never heard of her.
yeah, she was interviewed by Tim Ferriss a couple of years back, and
Okay.
with a translator because she doesn't speak English. But yeah, she's all into that, and she's got like her whole life is dedicated to the whole idea of cleaning up. So I think that's an excellent idea. I mean, why wouldn't you want to clean up and go through all the stuff that is cluttering up your studio? Let's get that done right now.
Exactly.
So number 2,
It's your turn.
I have new skills or hobbies.
Okay.
What an awesome opportunity to tap
Definitely.
into something that you've always wanted to do, and or something that you've wanted to improve upon, whether it's Photoshop, whether it's painting, whether it's lighting, anything of that nature. This is an excellent time to start looking into enhancing your new skills.
Definitely.
Now, and that includes like learning a new language. I mean, as you get older, our brains tend to calcify, and they get kind of like, we start to suffer from CBS. You know what CBS is, John?
Yep. Clutter.
Calcified brain shit.
Brain shit. Yes. I knew you were going to say that. I just couldn't think of the word. The words weren't coming out.
So when we learn new skills, we force ourselves to push beyond that and break away and chip away at our old habits and or old skills, and renew them. And so make a list of things that you've always wanted to do. One of the things, this is going to sound kind of weird, but one of the things that I challenged myself with more so in the last 2 years, but and that was to learn to sing. So
Okay.
and get up on the stage with a guitar and sing. That is one of the scariest things I'd ever done. So that to me is a skill that you would think that would be easy, because I'm very comfortable in front of people, but there's something completely different
Well, I'm
about
comfortable, and I'd get up and sing. My wife just tells me that she never wants to hear it because she says when I sing at home, I make her ears bleed. So I don't think people would want to hear me sing. But I grew up as a musician myself. I grew up as a rock and roll drummer, and I played in symphony orchestras as a percussionist. I played in
Nice.
rock bands. I played in school bands and things like that. And I learned a little bit of guitar and a little bit of keyboard, not much, but I could do a little bit of rhythm guitar, but that's about it. But I was a drummer growing up. But singing,
So you were comfortable with that.
oh, very much so.
See,
And
for
I was
me-
I was okay for background singing, but I couldn't sing out front. No.
For me, that's a whole new skill. So for you, I wouldn't necessarily say that that's going to be a thing.
No.
So what would be for you, John? What would be a
For me
skill
was
that-
this, like getting more into podcasting, because I'm like most photographers. We like to be behind the camera. We like to be the one shooting the pictures, not in front of the camera. And so being a volunteer videographer for Your TV was a challenge for me to begin with a couple of years ago when I started that, because video was not my thing. I'm a still camera photographer. Give me a still camera, I can do anything with it, but give me a video camera, it's a total different ball game. And so I had to learn that. But then with me and my one of the other guys that's a volunteer there, Dave, we were talking about how we'd love to do our own show one day, and we were always coming up with different ideas. And when COVID started, that's when John and Dave TV started, and we're still going now since last
Right.
March. It's been almost a year. We're on our 30, something like 35, 36th episode now, and
You're really
so
enjoying that, aren't you?
we are. So as I was getting more in there, I thought, okay, and then I started, of course, my Butler's Babble on my own Facebook page, and that was just a laptop with the normal camera and the laptop's microphone and just talking. And then as I got
Nice.
more into it, I started investing in this microphone and investing in more. And then even what we're doing now, the program that I use to do our streams here now, I had to make a compromise with my wife because this is more what I would like to do. So I was paying for another subscription to a photographer in UK there. He had a monthly subscription that almost like like NoBs basically, where you have him going there and he has lessons and he teaches you how he does this and how he does that and learn stuff. I don't know, his name's Carl Taylor. I don't know if you know Carl Taylor
Never
in the
heard of
UK.
him, no.
He's got Carl Taylor training. You can actually sign on and he has all these different how-to videos on how he shoots this and how he awesome guy, but I had to compromise with my wife. Do I want to pay for that or do I want to pay for this program, the pro account? So I actually dropped the other one and got this one instead. So it's just a matter of priorities. I wasn't sitting there watching all his stuff all the time and the money was going to waste. Whereas I'm going to be using all the time. So because I do it for here, I do it with our John and Dave TV. If we do our live stuff, I'm doing it with my Butler's Babble. So it's worth it to invest in this. And so that was a new thing for me, a new skill to learn. And as you can see, it's come a long way from when I was doing my Butler's Babble or when you and I just go on Zoom and do your webinars to doing something like this that's polished a little bit more and professional and interactive with everybody, where I can actually sit there and I can put their things up here and you can see what people are saying. I had to learn a new skill. And to me, this is fun. I enjoy this. This is not work to me. This is just you and I having fun. So.
Yeah. And on that note, I've done, so far, I started in November, I've done a sort of a podcast for the studio. So I did one in November, one in December, and it's an old skill. So I've been doing these webinars since like GoToWebinar came out in 2007 or so.
Yeah.
And it's really become very popular, but it's like, why not do one for the studio?
Exactly.
So,
and I'm thinking of doing the same thing with mine. Not only that, but I can use this now, this software to actually, or Zoom even, but I like this one better, where I don't even have to, good thing about this program, we don't have to go live like this like we are now. I can actually have it where we're just doing it together and recording it, and then once it's done I download it. And I like how I can download the MP4 the way it is, or I can also download what I started doing. I haven't told you that, but I actually can download just the MP3 of the audio, so I could just get the audio, and then we can always put this on as just an audio podcast people can listen to in their cars and stuff, things like that. So that's really nice to do. But it also helps if I ever want to, when you and I post this somewhere else, like whether go on YouTube or whatever, I can have just the audio. I can bring it into a software and have the regular video going, and then I can take our audio, if it doesn't sound the greatest, into the software, like Premiere or something, and enhance the audio so that both of us sound the exact same, and maybe add a little timbre or bass or something and make it sound better, and take out little things where you hear me going or something like that. But I haven't got that far yet, but I can do that. So it's ever evolving. We can just record stuff. So I'm thinking of using this actually for my business, where I can, somebody hires me to do their family portraits. Normally we would send them a follow-up saying, thank you for hiring Johnny Butler Photography. Here's some tips for you to get ready for your shoot. Why not do a video of that and make a video tip that I can send them a link, say, here, go to here, and this will prepare you for, this video will help prepare you for your shoot. And I can just talk to them and show them sample pictures and things like that. Get them better prepared. So I'm thinking of doing that. That might be something different. That's out of my comfort zone too. So I'm looking forward to that too. So.
By the way, that was a really good idea. Using it as a marketing communication tool. And I've been doing those for our studio. And we have a video that we send out everybody who books a ferry session. And I've got one for weddings, and I've got one for commercial. And, people come in the studio on ferry day, and we shoot the breeze, and we're talking. And very, very often they'll mention to me, oh, by the way, I loved your video. I watched it. And the whole video is designed to give them information. They see me in advance, so they kind of get to know who I am using that strategy.
Kind of see your personality too, so they know what to expect when they meet you.
So so StreamYard, you highly recommend it, obviously. For
I do. There's a lot of other ones out there, but this was one I came across, and I know there's that other one, Streamlabs, who does the OBS software, and they have a OBS Streamlabs one too, which is a more mainstream, and they're coming out with a version of this too. But when I was comparing them, they even had one. It was a little cheaper, I think, monthly wise or yearly wise, but for what you get compared to this, right now these ones are the leaders of it, and they're coming out with a lot more, templates. Because eventually I can come out with more templates here where we can make ourselves look even better and things like that. But right now I'm just happy. I'm just designing some of these templates myself. But I don't know, this company just seems to be very up there. And now they've just teamed with another company. I forget the name of it now. but they just merged with another company that has to
Nice.
do with events. And I think their stuff is more like a Zoom type of event type stuff. So they're
Right.
combining with one of those companies. So eventually you can combine the two together, doing something like this on like a Zoom type program.
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
can do events to hundreds of people at a time, type of thing.
Okay,
So
cool.
that's why I like they're
Smart
always
company.
pushing the thing. It's like Canon and Nikon back in the
Yeah.
90s. Canon was always the one that was starting everything, and the other companies would follow suit. Like with image stabilized lenses, Canon started that. All of a sudden, everybody else started suit. It's turned that way around now. I think Sony does a lot
Yeah.
of innovations now, but
Yeah, yeah. Keeping them
it's
on their toes. So
and I like how
yeah,
ease of use this is too. So
interesting. So seal of approval. I think when an emerging thing comes out like podcasting software, Zoom sort of
mhm,
overtook everything. But this is a live streaming software which seems to do a lot of stuff that Zoom does. So it's
exactly.
probably going to become a dominant player. I did see StreamYard being used in a live stream event I was watching last week. I don't remember what it was, but it was a pretty big name, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's the software we've been using. So
Exactly. I like it.
it's
It's
kind of
easy to use.
it's kind of good to see because sometimes when this happens, like back in the day when video hosting platforms like YouTube was the big one, but then Vimeo came out and
Yep.
Vidler. I don't know if you remember Vidler,
No, I have
and
a
it was
Vimeo account, but I never heard of Vidler.
Vimeo became the main de facto. They kind of like became industry standard. Okay, if you're gonna store and share videos, it's not the same as YouTube. YouTube is more like open to all, but and where you can go and just kind of watch a lot of videos. But Vimeo is the cloud designed for playback and downloads and a bunch of other stuff. And they kind of became the company. And at the time, I remember thinking, which one am I going to go with? I have to pick one. I almost went with Bidler, but I went with Vimeo, and it was the right call. So livestream is the program. Livestream. Is that what it's called?
But this one,
Yeah.
StreamYard.
StreamYard. What am I saying? Livestream.
Yeah.
All right.
But we
So
are
let's
live
go-
streaming, yeah.
Yeah, well, there's that too. All right, what else you
see.
got on your list? What's number three for you?
I gotta come number three. Well, my number two and three kind of almost go together because my number two was market to past clients, like past shoots, and also number three was maintain relationships with your clients. Basically, what I meant by those is like marketing to them is you can't shoot right now, but why not take a lot of your past shoots you did in the last year or in the last 2 years and contact those people, say, hey, how you doing? Just wanted to check on you, see how you're doing. That goes a long way, I think, just showing that you're thinking of them. And then while they're there, say, hey, we did a shoot with you, so anything, and is there anything that you're looking for from that shoot? Maybe you want to get some more prints or some more cans. Don't be afraid to hit them up. You don't know. Maybe they've been thinking that all along, and of calling you saying, hey, can I get another copy of this or that? Or they want to book
Curbside
another
pickup.
shoot with you. So if you can try and keep in touch with them and I think they appreciate you, even if you're not selling to them. Just say, hey, it's John from John A. Butler Photography, and I just wanted to check and see in this time with the pandemic, how is your family doing? How are you guys doing? Is there anything I can do for you? I think that goes a long way to keep those relationships going too.
Awesome idea. I love it.
Oh, we lost your volume there.
Awesome
Did you hit
idea.
your cord or something? You've gone completely blank. Yeah,
You
no,
can't
I
hear
hear
me?
nothing. These poor people are just going to hear my voice. Can everybody else hear him, or is it just me? Because unless my headphones went,
I think it's
let
you,
me try
John.
and turn my headphones off and have it come through the speaker and see if that does it. Let me see. Because I don't hear you at all now. It's kind of nice. It's like the show's mine now. Let me show my Bluetooth device here, and it says they're connected, but let me disconnect them. And I'm gonna try taking these out.
Hark, you
I probably
can't hear
look
me?
like. Oh, I can hear you out of my thing now. Did you do something?
Nope. I never touched the thing, but Dan says he can hear me. Hark said
Okay.
just John.
I think it's
And
these. So I took them out, and now I can hear you through my speakers here. So hopefully it doesn't echo you. I don't think it will. It never does in the
It does.
past. So.
We have an echo.
A little bit? Okay.
Yeah, it's not bad. We can tolerate it.
Okay. I can always turn it down just a little bit. But yeah, Hark says they can hear you. So now I can hear you now.
So something died at your end. So let's continue on with that topic. I love that. And you know what? Such a good one. It never even occurred to me to throw it on there. But thanks for bringing that up. That's probably one of the best strategies to contact old clients. How about sending them a newsletter on top of maybe calling, and or when you call them, make them an offer, 50% off? Or how about compiling your database, updating your database? If you've never done a database of your past clients, now's a good time to pull that together and send everybody a thank you card or a newsletter. I've created an awesome video. I think it's absolutely amazing. It's in the forum on how to create newsletters, something we've done in our studio for many, many, many years. I think it's one of the best things you can do. And it ties right in with what you're saying, John. It's, send them a communication. It's unexpected when it's a printed newsletter, not an emailed one, printed in the mailbox. And they don't expect it. If you put one in there that's all like commercial, like those insurance guys and or real estate, real estate companies will send out real corporate looking newsletters. Yep. Don't do that. You're doing yourself, you're actually making it worse. That, you get those, you just want to block your nose and you throw it in the garbage. Well, they're garbage. I mean, they're so insincere. So my newsletters are messy, junky, fun, lots of information, recipes, stuff that's going on in the studio, stuff that's going on in my life, throw in some offers, anything newsy. If you're doing stuff in, like you would probably talk about BNI as well as other groups you're doing work with, including the nurse story. That would be an awesome story.
Yep.
So
no, definitely. But that's a big one for me too, is just keep it engaged with the public, because everybody's at home or they're essential workers out there working, but you're easy to forget. And you might not, people don't think we are, but you're easy to forget. But if you keep in their face, keep in there. I had actually an ad on the radio. I think I told you that before. We do trades with the one radio station here because I do pictures for them, and in return they give me ad space. It ran from, I think, December, either Christmas Day or Boxing Day, one of them, and it ran 4 times a day up until January 1st. So each one of them ran twice each, because there was 2 different ads. One was for school pictures and one was for commercial headshots. So they would both run twice a day throughout the day. And then starting January 1st, they were giving everybody, because of the lockdown, anybody that had an ad with them at that time, they were doubling your ad. So I was actually getting both ads done 4 times a day, so 8 ads a day, up and from January 1st till the 20th of January. And I actually had somebody last week approach me at the grocery store saying, "Hey, John, loved your ads." He goes, "Yep, if they ask, say the Butler did it." So obviously it was working. So people were calling me, asking when can I do a headshot or a school picture. Yeah. And a lot of them are saying that they heard me on the radio. So
cool.
Just keep engaged with your past clients and new clients. Try and do whatever you can to engage them. But I think the past clients, they're your word of mouth, because in our business it's all word of mouth a lot of times. We don't do newspaper ads anymore, at least I don't. We don't do magazine ads. I don't do radio ads except for the trading that I do with them. So you have to get your name out there, and I think word of mouth and social media is the way that everybody's doing it nowadays. So make yourself, don't be afraid to be a fool.
Your past clients are your biggest asset, your database and list of past clients. So all right, so was that yours or mine? That item?
Was mine.
Okay, I'll bring number 3 up. I think we're at number 3. This one here, I call it calendar and agenda, short and long.
Okay.
So what I mean by that is, if you're not doing anything, all of the stuff we're talking about, I'm just a big believer in putting it down in the calendar. So let's say you could say, next Thursday at 9 a.m., my wife and I were going to go in the studio. We're going to start cleaning from 9 a.m. till noon. We're going to have lunch and then continue on for the rest of the day. Don't just think about it. Put it in the calendar. That is a strategy that I really believe in, because it's almost like you're writing down your goals.
That's a good point, because I don't write it down. We just come and we think it. We don't write it down.
Yeah, we just think it. So you can say next Tuesday from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, I'm going to call 8 clients. Put it in the agenda. Therefore, you're committed. And the idea of having an agenda, a calendar, is something I need, because I'm a scatterbrain. I'm a complete, total scatterbrain. If I do not write it down, my life will deteriorate into a complete and total catastrophic hellhole. It will. So I've always loved calendars. I mean, I remember back 30 plus years ago, always used a calendar, but you know the company called Daytimer?
Yep. I used to have a daytimer all the time.
Yeah, and I just value, now it's Google, but I remember buying, it was like $200-300. It was a nice leather bound one. And every year you'd order the inserts. You take it out at the end of the year, you put some elastic around it, and I would archive it. And then I put in the new year, and it was just had these tabs, and it was just beautiful. I love that. Then that I needed to control and keep my life in order. So for me, that's something. Now I said short and long. What I meant by that is that, you know, next week you're going to schedule some stuff, put it in there, you write it down, or you type it in if you're using Google, but have a calendar for long. So my wife and I have a complete plan for May, June, July.
Okay.
We got promotions set. Boom. We put dates down and we're starting to promote them. We're already getting bookings for weddings and such. So that's one thing I guess you could put on the list. Take bookings for down the road. You know, there's this fear that, shit, what if things don't open up next summer? We're going to have all these...
Yeah, but you can't worry about that. You can only worry about things that you can control.
Yeah. But if it happens, it happens, and you just got to deal with it. But it's always a possibility. So right now we're doing that, and we've got stuff scheduled, short-term, long-term. So something.
I think a person that was big with stuff like that, she probably still is, I don't know if you remember Sandy Putsch.
Oh, yeah.
She was very big on that when she was doing like her specials that she would do, whether it be certain studio packages that she was doing with kids, where she had like a fishing, boys and fishing with the things, and that she had all these different things, almost like your fairy day type of thing. Yep. And she would plan them like 3-4 months in advance. She would sit down and have a calendar. Okay, in 3 months we're doing this special, and then 2 months after that we're doing this special, and she would have it all planned out and how she was going to do it. She was very big on that.
Year by year, yeah. She had a pretty good system that she sold to photographers based on that.
Definitely. And haven't seen a lot about her lately. I actually saw a video of hers, an actual live. She was doing a live thing on either Facebook or something about a special she's got coming up. And it's the first time I've seen in a couple of years anything from Sandy Putsch. So it's almost like she's fallen off the earth a little bit, but maybe it's just because I haven't been following her too much. I don't know. But she was a big thing like that. And I think Maria, to an extent, is probably like that too when she does her either fairy days or her Christmas thing, things like that. She probably has everything all scheduled months in advance, I'm sure.
Probably does, yeah. And she has
I've got to start doing that a little bit more myself. I actually found with our Santa pictures here, because it was the first year we had that whammy thrown at us for Santa pictures, we had to do by appointment only. We've never had to do that with Santa pictures this year. And I figured the first day we put it out there and said, okay, just contact the studio. My wife sat there for a good solid day on the phone with people who were contacting, saying, hey, what times are available? When can I book? And it got to be, well, there's got to be a better way. So I found actually this website was called Calendly. So it's Calendly or something like that, Calendly. And I just have the free version right now because I don't do enough specials to worry about the paid one where you get multiple things, where you can only do one. With the free one, you do one event at a time. And I was able to put in there the details of what I was doing, the dates that I wanted to be available, and the times from this time to that time at 5-minute intervals or whatever. And it separated all for me. And then what happens is it had it linked to my Google Calendar. And then I just took that link and threw it in the advertisement on my social media and on my website or whatever, and saying, if you want to book Santa pictures, just click on this link. It'll go to the date you want that are available there, the ones that are highlighted. Click on one of those dates and see what times are available. When they clicked on it, all it asked them for was their name, their email, and as soon as they did that and hit save, it sent them an email confirming that, okay, you're booked on this day, on this time for your Santa pictures, and it sent me an email saying this person booked this time with you, and then when I went to my Google Calendar, it was already put in there for me. It just streamlined everything, and then I was able to do a follow-up email to them if I wanted to, saying, thanks for signing up. Here's what you got to remember for when you come to your Santa pictures. And
nice.
It worked really well. It would be something that might be good for even your fairy portraits, because then You wouldn't have to worry about you and Tina collecting what happened. They would just go to the dates you have there and the times available. They click on it. It puts it in your Google Calendar, but it still gives them the email. And I think you have where you can get their phone number too. And then Tina can always pick up the phone or send a follow-up email saying, thanks for signing for Fairy Portraits. Here's what you need to know. And here's how you put it in there that your appointment's not booked until you've paid your deposit or whatever it is you asked for up front. And so you can send that follow-up email to them.
Could be easily automated. I know where you're coming from.
Yeah, and it just frees up your time from sitting there on the phone all the time with people or emailing people back and forth. It does everything for you, and then you just got to do that one follow-up email. And if they have questions, they'll contact you.
I'm going to ask her about that.
Yeah, I'll send you the link.
I wouldn't be surprised if she says, no, I really like the live interaction. Yep. She may say that.
But she can still do that, though. That's the thing, because you can have it set where when they sign up their name, their email, and a phone number, and then she can always pick up the phone and say, hey, I saw you ordered or signed up for our fairy portraits, and then she could still do that interaction with them. But it just takes out one little step for you and frees up a little bit more of your time. Doesn't mean you have to do it. It's just I found it really helpful for what I was doing. It depends on the project, too, of course.
Very cool.
Yours is more specialized. She might not like it. I don't know.
I don't know. I'll ask her about it. We're always looking for ways to improve and make things more efficient.
Yep.
Without cutting in on the humanity of it all, because that's a big part of it, like that one-on-one connection. I don't want to, in case that becomes an issue, I'm not sure.
Definitely.
So what else is on your agenda? You get to go next.
One of the things almost goes a little bit with when you were talking about learning something new in that, but it's a little different, is mine is educate. And what I meant by that was I had webinars, podcasts, videos, books. Basically, take the time to educate yourself on photography, whether it's podcasts like ours, whether it's going to some webinars on there, watching YouTube videos on how to, or how watching seniors, if you're into senior photography, and there's so many out there. You showed me one when you were here of some guy that you watch, behind the scenes of when he does the seniors, and I have a couple that I watch. Reading books. That's one thing I got to do more. I'm not the type. I know you love reading. You'll get up at 5:30 in the morning and read a chapter or something. I have to really get in the mood to sit and read, but I got to get more into that. But
find a book, read one page a day in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good place to start. Baby steps.
Yep. But that was one thing. But I think another thing that I had, because we already basically tackled that a lot, was strengthen your brand. Take the time to strengthen your brand. It actually goes with two of my things, because my other one was update your website. They kind of go interactive. So strengthen your brand. Take the time to rebrand and come back stronger for when we are open. Think about what you want to do, where you want your business to go, and what kind of clients do you want to attract when you are back open again. This is a great time where you can sit and rebrand yourself and not have it affecting your business while you're working. Because normally we're out there shooting all the time. It's hard to sit down and say, okay, I'm going to rebrand now. Yep. Now you've got the time. You're off for all these months. Sit down, figure, I don't want to do weddings anymore, or I don't want to do babies. I just want to do headshots, business portraits, and glamour photography. Well, now start putting that brand together. If you have to update your website, put some newer pictures on there. I have to do that myself. I'm terrible at that. But now's a good time to try and strengthen your brand and rebrand it a bit if you have to. If you're not rebranding, just strengthen it. Get it ready so when you're ready to run right from the tilt, right when this whole lockdown finishes.
Hit the ground running as soon as the gates open up. So
I think that's a big thing, because now we have the time to do it, and I'm trying to do that myself.
Yep. One thing I like doing is coming up with a list of all the strategies, including sending out emails, blog posts, whatever, calling clients, whatever, sending out thank you cards. My wife and I did this 25 years ago in our first year married together. We were doing a trip down to Toronto, and I said, let's bring a notepad, list all the things that we can be doing and or are doing. You just brainstorm ideas. What are some crazy ideas? One of the ideas was with the baby's first year, you got a mouse pad with your baby's picture printed on it. Fun, quirky stuff like that.
Yeah, because I remember you used to send out cards a lot. You'd send like that newborn photo to the family and say your family's grown by 2 feet or something like that.
You remember that?
I remember that.
So
Robert Noel had print. I put it up there, but it just said Facebook. He had Sprout Studio has a calendar and a payment integrated for all that you were discussing, and he loves that feature. So I guess it's like that Calendly mixed with like a payment integration thing, so people can book their time and pay right there online.
I interviewed Robert a year and a half ago.
Okay.
We talked about that Sprout program. I believe Abbas from Alba Mipoca is coming out with one, or he's going to be promoting one from friends he knows down in Mississauga that are currently creating a new CRM.
Cool.
Client, what's it called? Client CMR? No, CRM, client something management. So,
Okay.
anyways, let's go on to the next item. Who's next? You or me?
You are.
Okay. Let's keep this one short because we're going to run out of time.
Yeah, I only have a couple left, anyways.
I got a whole damn list, but I can cut them off at any. I can just actually cream through a bunch of them in no time at all. So this one here, I wrote down: dress up and act successful. So, some days you just don't feel like doing much of anything, and I'll go to the studio to do something, maybe do a couple of videos. I'll come up with something and all the other stuff that we were talking about. But I tell this to people who are unemployed, is, get up in the morning, act like as if you're going to to the ideal job.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll press a shirt, wear a blazer, nice shoes, even though I'm not going to see anybody. I'll go to the studio and I'll shoot a video, I'll maybe clean up a bit. It just feels good.
Yep.
And I'm not that now. I'm kind of dressed down right now, but I just think it's something to consider.
Definitely.
It helps your mood, and you tie it in with everything else that.
Well, I knew we were coming on today, so I made sure I brushed my hair and everything ready to go.
I noticed that. So we can move on to the next one. Number 5. What do you got?
Well, I've got, which I think is a big one too, is since we went into all this lockdown, I learned to adapt virtually, because everything now is online. So before, we were doing everything on our own, or just through our own social media, whatever. But now we've all had to adapt. How many people now never heard of something like Zoom or what we're using, these live streams, before the lockdown? Probably not a lot of people. But now everything's going virtual. You've got to learn to adapt now and think, okay, how as photographers can we talk to our clients or educate our clients or be able to deal with our clients virtually? Zoom was a big thing for me, because I actually did 2 photo shoots in December there. And now that I can't have people in my studio, I can't do my in-person sales like I always do.
Nice.
And just in the last week, both of those clients, I went on Zoom and was able to do an in-person sale, but virtually through Zoom. And that way I still aren't doing galleries for them. I'm going on and I'm actually showing them, and I actually can hold the product and they can see the sizes if I need to, things like that. And both clients, or at least one of them, if not, I think both of them actually are buying 8x8 Alba Mipoca event books from me. That just from virtually showing them and showing them the thickness of the paper, they're like, yeah, I want to buy that. And so I've had to learn to adapt, and now Zoom makes that possible. Before, I probably would have had to put an online gallery and put my logo across them, which I hate doing. But sometimes that's what you have to do. I didn't have to do that with them. I can actually just go on Zoom, do my sales session, and it's still... I hate doing online galleries, and I think you actually changed some of yours to online galleries. But I just find, A, it's so impersonal. B, they can't see your products.
We rarely do online
educate them
galleries.
on why they should crop it this way or why it's going to be done like this. And on top of that, you can wait 6 months before you get an order sometimes, because life happens, and it's not on purpose.
And it'll be a shitty, lame-ass order. No, I'm dead set against online galleries. They're deal killers. We've done them on occasion. We had a family, let's say 2 summers ago, and the parents, one of the families, 2 kids, were from Phoenix.
Yep.
And they were leaving. So we got a substantial deposit. And we said, for you guys, we're going to make an exception. And what I had done was, so make sure if you're considering a wall portrait, when you get home, send me a snapshot with your cell phone of where you think the picture might go.
Yep.
And measure it for me, please. And I actually did this. And I created a video that we sent to them. And I said, hey guys, nice to meet you. I hope you enjoyed your stay where you're up in Canada. It's good that I hope you made it back safely, blah, 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 blah. Before I send you the gallery, I just want you to know this is one of my favorite images from the photo shoot, and I think it would look good on the picture in this corner above your fireplace. And by the way, a 36 or 40 inch print is ideal.
Yep.
And guess what size they ordered?
Exactly. Because
So
you showed it to them.
So I'm managing their expectations, but I hate using online galleries. But we do a lot of virtual, John. Back to your point,
Yeah.
learn how to. If you're not going virtual, I mean, today's day and age, it's becoming now so common.
Well, it helped me with one of my clients. She hired me. We did her family program. It was a generational one, or legacy one, I think you used to call them, where you got the grandparents with their kids and then their grandkids too. And one of the clients, or one of the families from there, the one son with his wife and things like that, they lived in Ottawa, which is about an hour and a half away from here, depending, hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on what part of Ottawa they're in. And they weren't able to come here for a viewing. So the grandmother who hired me, she came in, did her viewing. The one daughter who lives locally, she came in, or we did actually a Zoom one with her, and we, even though she was local, she couldn't come in, did a viewing with her, and then the other one, we can do a Zoom with them too. So you can still do like an in-person sale, but by doing it virtually, they don't have to leave a 2-hour drive to come here to do maybe an hour to 2 hour sale, and then go back another hour and a half, 2 hour drive back.
Just for the record, my wife does all the selling, and she's been going more into virtual selling as you just described. Last couple of years, especially since we started doing ferries on location, it's hard for us to get back to a city like your area,
like Ottawa,
or London, Ontario, or Sault Ste. Marie. So we prefer to do them in person, but those who can't make it, we do offer that as a second alternative.
You did that when you did the ferry portraits here at my studio. You did some virtual ones too.
A whole bunch of them. We just said, no problem. We're going to schedule a Zoom meeting for you. Everybody knows what we're talking about now, and they're very comfortable with it.
Yeah.
But here's what I'm watching. Here's what I'm keeping an eye on right now. I'm tracking sales to see if the sales are consistent with virtual versus in person. I want to see, you're not going to be able to really determine this exactly, but I want to keep an eye on it to see, because what I'm tempted to do for ferries that we do out of town is 100% go virtual.
Well, with you can get away with it, because with me, if I know I'm going to be doing a Zoom one with this client, because they're not going to be able to come in, maybe they have small kids and they can't, I don't want, if possible, them to bring the kids. I tell them we love kids, but it's so much easier when they're not here. When they're here for the actual shoot itself, show them the products you have. Say, okay, this is a 20 by 30 above this couch here. You can see what it looks like. Here's a 11 by... Before they leave, I've actually get that expectation of, here's what the sizes look like. Here's my albums. They can touch them, feel them. So when they leave and go home, and I send them a price list home with them, so they can see what they were and what the costs were. That way, when we do go on Zoom and do the virtual, they kind of have an idea when you're saying, well, this is what they know what you're talking about. They've been there and touched it. And with you, with the ferries on location, you bring all your products with you, and they see them on the day they're having their ferry portrait done. They all see them. When they come back for your viewing, they've already got it in their mind. I want that album, or I want that, or I want that. I don't know how many people came and said they wanted that, was it a metallic print, or I don't know, there was an art print. There was the art print you have.
Right.
It's like an art. It's almost like a painting type of thing.
It's pretty popular, and
people knew what that was because you were able to educate them during the shoot itself. So as long as you can educate them at the shoot itself, virtual will be fine.
Well, that's exactly where we're going in managing their expectations. We put our display out, plus we have the booklet too that we give to them to take home with them.
You took over my whole front room.
That's so important. So, all right, what's the next item?
Let's see what I have here. One will get rid of the junk. Well, we already talked about that. But also going back to that, we were talking about like props and equipment and studio cleaning. But when I said get rid of the junk, I meant more products and services and the changes you want to make. So go through now, like you said, doing an inventory of what in the last year, when you were working your business, what was selling, what wasn't selling, what kind of service was working, what ones weren't, and revamp them or get rid of them altogether. If you're doing 10 by 20 panoramic collages, but in the last year or two, you haven't sold one, even though you've shown them all clients, then take them right off your price list. Obviously, people
Yeah.
aren't interested in them, take them off. Or albums. If you find that most people are going for the 8 by 8s and the 10 by 10s, and they're not going for your 9 by 12 lengthy ones instead of the square ones, see which ones work for you and then promote them even more. Just get
Yeah.
rid of the junk that's in your studio and your services. Same with the photo shoots. If you're
Yeah.
doing family portraits, what part of your family portraits works really well and what doesn't when it comes to your services? There's nothing wrong with going and saying, you know what, this hasn't worked in the last year. Why offer it? Or change your pricing too. You might find that you're doing tons of family portraits, but you're only charging say $50. Well, raise it up to 75 or 100, double it, and then see if the clients are still coming back. Now's your time to try that out because you never know. I'm always terrified when I raise my prices. I'm like, oh, I'm going to lose all my clientele. But I find that I lose some, but the ones that stay or the ones that I get are.
Yeah.
It's a lot more rewarding because I'm making just as much, if not more, than I did before, and I'm shooting less. So
Yeah. That's
just throw out
true.
the junk.
You'll make more money. So
Yep.
all in the name of decluttering,
Yep.
cleaning your messes. So, all right. The next item I have is everybody's got a to-do list, whether or not you've got stuff written down. Oh, I wish I could do this one day. And it kind of applies with what we're saying, but I called it old projects on the back burner.
Yeah, I got a couple of those.
Yeah, and for me, that was revamping my website, which I completely overhauled back in the first month of the lockdown last
I still
spring.
have to do it.
And I hunkered down and I got her done, and I'm really, really happy. Another thing I'd done was I downloaded, copied and pasted over, this is insane. I had over 1,000 pages of old emails. And they were still digital, like on my computer. I went through them all, cleaned them up, got rid of the ones I thought, nah, I'm not going to keep that one. So I went from ones I thought I was going to keep, and I tweaked it out some more, and I ended up with 600 pages, and I printed it up at the copy shop. Paid about $40 to print it out with Surlux binding. That's a project I always thought, oh, I got to do that one day. Well, I did it after I
Yep.
had done my website. There's always these little projects, whether they're quirky and or not, and or written down, or just like in your brain floating around.
Definitely.
I wish I got to do this one day, and do it. Clean it up. You never know where it's going to lead. You know.
Yep. I have a couple I want to do, but a couple of them deal with models, like certain shoots I want to do, so I can't do that yet. But we've got them all lined up, ready to go. I have a couple models that I want to get in here and try some different type of stuff. But one of them too is for product shots. I want to get more into product shots. They can be very lucrative, but I'm looking at this software and I forget the name of it now. I'd have to look it up. But it actually, you buy the software and then you can also, if you want, you can make your own, but you can also buy a turntable from them. That
Right.
comes with it. It's almost like a record player, white turntable, and but you can also, they showed you how you can make one through IKEA with just one of those lazy Susans and that. But it's
Right.
done in a way that works with the software if you buy theirs, and it's all mechanical, so that you can set it up if I want to take a picture of this mug here, I just put it on the turntable to where I want the first shot, get everything lit the way I want and everything. You take the first picture, and then once it takes the picture and you're tethered to the laptop, it rotates it 5 degrees or 10 degrees, whatever you want. So you can do 5 degrees. Do another one, does another 5 degrees, and eventually you get like 200 to 300 shots.
Right.
And it basically is shooting the whole mug from every
Nice.
angle this way.
Nice.
And then when it's done on the software, you can actually output it as
Nice.
it's either an MP4 or I can't remember what it is. That when you go onto the web, the client can put that on their website, and people can see
Yeah.
this, and it can be rotating, or they can click and rotate it whichever way they want to look at whatever part of the mug they want. And I think
Beautiful.
in this industry, in my area, that'll go really well because I have companies that are like some local craft beer companies that they need their beer cans shot. I have a company that does backpacks and the rucksacks and all the belts for the military here. They want some of their products shot. I think this would be a very lucrative thing, and one client can pay for my whole software. I think it goes
Yeah.
anywhere from about $1,200 to $2,000 for this whole thing. And if you
Yeah.
want the turntable, it can do $2,000 to $3,000. So it's a big investment.
Yeah.
But I think one or two clients, it would pay it off, and then the rest is just playing and trying to
I
get other
totally,
clients.
I totally love that idea, and the reason I love it is, well, if you're into commercial and product photography, you're really going to stand out, and you're going to offer a service that a lot of other people are not going to be able to replicate that easy. So,
Exactly.
I mean, and you got to have obviously items that are going to be maximized by having a full 360 virtual tour of. So
Exactly.
if you've got stuff like that, which many products are like that,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's going to. I think that's going to be an easy sell. Absolutely an easy sell.
And I
To
saw
sell
somebody
that.
they went on IKEA for like $30 and bought like a little Lazy Susan, and then they took a
Yeah.
little, you know, those fabric rulers you can get or measuring tapes,
Yep.
where it's just for fabric, where it's not in anything, it's just loose, and you just
Yep.
glue it all the way around the side of it, so it
Uh-huh.
has the different degree, and then you just when you have it there, you have a nail right at the front, and so you have it at 0, and then when you shoot it, then you just turn the turntable to 5 centimeters or whatever it is.
Whatever.
Shoot another one to 10
What
centimeters.
about what about duct tape? Can you duct tape the tape on there?
Oh, probably. But this
101
way you can still
uses.
get it, but you're just doing the manually done. But hey, it
Yeah.
does the job, and if you save like $1,000 by doing it that way, or $500,
Yeah.
why not?
All right, we got about 10 minutes to go. I'm thinking. And Facebook user says Sprout Studio has a calendar and payment integrated for all that you're discussing. Love that feature. Obviously, Facebook user, whoever that person is using it.
Yeah.
The,
Sprout
the
Studio, that was
program I was
Robert.
talking. The program I was talking about from Abbas is called Run Sensible. RunSensible.com.
Because Robert also put CRM, client relationship management.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Thank you for that. Who wrote that?
That was Robert Noel.
Thanks, Robert. Oh, is he with us right now?
Yeah, he was the one who also talked about Sprout Studio. He said you interviewed him not too long ago,
Okay.
or last year.
Yeah, I didn't know it was him because it says Facebook user. He's
Yeah,
being anonymous.
that's why I
He's
tell
being-
everybody, like, when they log in here, they should just on the description it does say there's, if you go to StreamYard I think it's StreamYard.com/Facebook or whatever, they can click on there to allow permission for StreamYard to use their name, and then when we get on my side here, I can see who it is. But I'm looking at my phone because I have our program going here, so I can make sure it's still streaming and that, and I can see who it is and that. We also have John Rumble here, who says virtual's where it's at. So
Oh, is that John?
yeah,
Nice.
that's that one there. Yeah.
Hey, John. Nice to have you here. And Robert Knoll, too. I'd love to get Robert as one of our guests. All right, what
That'd be
else
cool.
do you have? What else do you have? Do you have any more?
A lot of them were all mixed, like get rid of junk, take stock of inventory. See, that was another one. It's almost like cleaning house. Take stock of inventory, what to keep, what not, what to get rid of. We talked about that. Keep engaged with the public was another one I had, but that might go with maintaining relationships. But keep engaged, whether it be webinars, podcasts, Facebook Lives like we're doing now.
Connecting.
Or even just ramping up your social media. I'm terrible. You're awesome right now. And it's funny. I get people locally here, businesses saying, "Oh, John, I see you online all the time. Your social media is awesome." And I should tell them, well, you should see Rob. I might come on here face to face talking on the videos more, but every day I wake up and I'll go and check my messages or check my social media, see what's going on. And there'll be a post from you on, say, LinkedIn, which is then on the same post as on Instagram. It's also on Facebook. And you'll do like every maybe 2 or 3 hours, you'll be posting
Yeah.
another picture on there. You're really good at that and keeping your stuff out in there.
I'm on a
So
regimen.
ramping up
I'm on
that
a
social
regimen.
media.
Yeah, I'm on a regimen. I think it's too much of a valuable strategy to let go to waste.
I just started using LinkedIn a lot more. I'm very bad at using my LinkedIn, but I actually did. I don't know if you saw it, but I posted about 2 weeks ago. It was a headshot collage that I had, and I was telling people what the importance of a good headshot is, and blah 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 for their business. And I got a good feedback from that, where I actually had a lady on LinkedIn from, I don't think too far from here, or in Ottawa or something like that, and she had actually messaged me saying, "What's involved with your headshots and blah blah blah," and that. So I emailed her back. I'm just waiting to hear back from her again, but.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got to use LinkedIn more because for my commercial, I find LinkedIn's very good for commercial stuff. That's where all the business owners are.
Here's a good question from Hark. He wants to know, Rob, what are you using for your social media posts? I use Hootsuite. It's a little pricey. It's like $400 a year. There are cheaper ones. I used to use Social Pilot, but I found it a little glitchy. It's much cheaper. And I think there are some freebies out there. Would love to know if anybody's using a similar type product, but whichever one you use, I think it's too valuable to let go to waste. To me, I've always said doing social media posts are like when I used to go back in the 90s, we used to do displays at the local mall. Then our mall was one of the busiest in Canada. On a Saturday in the fall towards Christmas, 30,000 people walking past. I mean,
That's
and
awesome.
we would set up for 2-3 weeks leading up to Christmas Eve, and we would sell thousands and thousands of dollars worth of gift certificates. And that's not why I went in there. That was a
Nope.
bonus. We went in there to get our work in front of the public. Well, social media posts is the same idea, but it's like a micro display. So why would you want to let that opportunity go to waste? So, and if you have a struggle with what to post, if you're just starting out, well, now you know what you got to do. You got to get something. You got to build your
right.
portfolio. And if you do one family shoot, you might be able to get 20, 30 good posts. And if you're creative, learn some copywriting. By the way, that's another item that I have on my list. I'm not going to get into because we're going to run out of time. But learn copywriting. It's easy, easy, easy. And I've been studying copywriting since the 90s. And it's one of the reasons I got 600 pages of emails that I've archived that I was just talking about. And I bought a book 6 weeks ago, learning to master copywriting. And oh, by the way, I got the highlights of that book that I give to people in the forum. I often do this. I'll read a book I really like, and if I do the highlights, the Cliff cheat notes. And so I'm always learning that. And, if there's ways to take archived shoots. Many of you guys don't know this, but some of the posts I do are from 12 years ago, 10 years ago. I'll go through my old stuff and I go, oh, that's a good image. I've posted it 3 times in the last 10 years. Screw it. I'm going to post it again. People don't care.
Hey, if it's still relevant, I mean, hey.
Yeah. Well, it's cute little babies. I mean, come on.
Exactly. John Rumble says he seconds Hootsuite. It's free for 3 accounts.
Oh, I didn't know that because I don't know what I got, but I'm paying. So, but it's a strategy that's lined up with marketing. It's just the same idea as doing a display, except you're using social media. So you'd be crazy. Okay, next item.
I just go on Instagram. I'll post a picture and then I have it set so it automatically goes to my Twitter and it automatically goes to my Facebook, and that's about it. I don't have the suites or anything like that. But it doesn't work with LinkedIn. I have to go do a separate one with LinkedIn. So
that counts. I mean, if you don't want to use one of these management softwares, yeah, I mean,
whatever
do it.
Works, yeah.
Do it, but do 2, 3, 4 a day.
And I also found there's, I know we're going to go to another topic, but there's even here, we have some people that specialize in social media. That's their business. And I interviewed one for John Dave TV where that's what his business is. He'll actually do your social media for you, and he might charge the same thing, but he might be different. It might be, I think he's like $20 a month or $30 a month or $40, depending on what level you're going with him. It could be as high as maybe $40, $50 a month, which is $400 or $500 like you're paying. But basically, he doesn't do it for you. I think what it does is he gives you a calendar, a schedule. Says, okay, here's your schedule for the month. On this day, you're going to post 3 posts, or this one you're going to do. You still have to physically go and do it, but they help keep you in line, I guess. So look into social media businesses that will help you if you don't have the time to do it yourself.
I see that becoming more and more a thing, and there's a young lady in our city who does that exact thing.
Yep.
I don't think she's good at marketing, though. But
is that Haley girl, or there was a girl you shot a while ago? She's in the BNI in Sudbury there. I think her name's Haley. She's a web designer or something. I can't remember.
I wanted to keep her name anonymous, but that's her.
Oh, okay, sorry.
No, I just said that I don't think she's.
I didn't say her last name.
It's Haley Hasty.
Yeah.
I've known her since she was a little kid. I photographed her mom and dad's wedding years ago. But
she talks nothing but high things. I've talked to her once, I think, online because I met her at that one BNI meeting, and she speaks nothing but good things about you. So. Yeah,
she's a lovely, lovely young lady. She's up for a major award in our city. She's only 23. She's a beautiful soul. But if she ever watches this, and if I ever had a chance to tell her, here's what I find confusing, and I find a lot of young women do this. People who are doing the social media stuff is. You need to explain to me what it is exactly you're offering and tell me the cost. Just come out and say it. Oh, this is what I can do and this is what it would cost you. And if you want to get the platinum version of that, you'd get this and this and this, and it would cost you this. Otherwise, I have no concept as to what it is they're selling. Let me add to that just to really get a little bit on a rant. Can I go on a quick rant, John?
You go right ahead. I had nothing else on my list, so it's whatever you got.
Okay, I just got a couple quick things, but I want to finish this rant, then
Go
we'll get
for
on
it.
to the next item. I was just telling this exact same thing to my daughter. My daughter is a full-time graphic designer. She does a lot of marketing now for other clients. She's picking up clients. They love her work. And if you go to her website, it's daniellepee.com. Her website is amazing. And she shows me these other websites of these young ladies and ladies who are designers and media. And they're they're on their phones, or they're holding food and they're laughing, or they're stuck in a bunch of leaves on hedges. And I'm like, I look at that and I think that is totally not relatable. Looking at a young lady on her phone and she's smiling, that is not an image that resonates with me.
No.
So this is something I see a lot, and I told that to my daughter, and this is what I'm sort of telling Haley if she ever gets her hands on this. But if you go to daniellepee.com and look at my daughter's website, I think she did an excellent job because she's got a nice, cute picture of her looking directly at the camera. And I complimented her on that. I said, good. You don't have to do any of these other shots. And you'll see the second picture, she's more of a full-length shot looking right at the camera. And I mean, this is a thing. You ever see memes, girls laughing at their food? They're holding a salad and they're laughing. I've always thought that that was kind of silly and non-relatable. Maybe in that group it is. So, rant over. There it is. I'm going to have to tell her we were talking about her. She'll love that.
Yeah, there's another picture of her.
So she's doing a beautiful job, and she has an amazing photographer who took those pictures.
His name James Hodgins.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to.
I just noticed on the bottom of her website, there's that
Yep.
L'Oreal Ipsum. She's got to fix that. Yeah, right there. Lorem Ipsum. She's got a blank section there.
Yeah.
All right. Let's
All right.
move on.
Go for it.
I did want to mention, before I forget, and get on to the next item, and then we'll wind her down there, Johnny. John Ratchford, he's in Nova Scotia. They're allowed to open, and he's been very, very, very busy. And I interviewed him about 3 or 4 months ago, and it's one of the best interviews ever. I mean, the guy is just such a dynamo when it comes to marketing. But one thing he had done was he rented this big Quonset hut style, almost like I don't know if it was a barn, it was a hall, and he brought in some lights and music, and he did prom shoots right on location at this really funky, cool location. I just thought that was very, very, very innovative. One of the most innovative things I'd ever seen in my entire
Definitely.
life. He did that last spring during the lockdown when all the kids were losing out their prom. I put you on the list here, John. B&I, something you do on a regular basis.
Yep.
So that's something that's very important to you, connecting with
It's
other
very
business
important.
owners.
I'm in my 9th year now with BNI, and it's
Right.
worth it to me. It costs me, I want to say, normally it would cost me around the $1,200 to $1,300 a year.
Right.
Now it's only cost me half that, because what it is, it's like half that. It's like $600 or $700 a year for your membership fees and that, and then you pay, I think we pay something like $13 or $14 a week for our breakfast and things like that, because we actually get fed breakfast. Not everyone does that on the BNI groups. Ours does it, and the hotel charges us a fee, and we just pay for it. And we have a big buffet, so it usually works out to be about $1,200. I mean, but one or two referrals from that group, and I've paid that all off anyways. You're building relationships with other businesses, their owners and managers of those businesses, and it helped spiral my career like you wouldn't believe. And
That was so cool.
yeah. Now the one thing that's different from a lot of other groups though is it's inclusive. So it's only one person or one business per profession that's allowed in there.
Right.
And so I'm in there for photography, so they won't bring any other photographers in there. It used to be, I guess, years ago, they used to have it where they split that up. So you could have a wedding photographer in there, you could have a family photographer in there. But since digital came out, we basically explained to them, like, in our chapter especially, if I brought in a wedding photographer, everybody here that does weddings also does family. They do portraits for businesses.
Yeah.
It would hurt me as a who do you refer? Because you refer that person, and then they're also going to say, oh, by the way, I also do this when they're not at a BNI meeting. So I'm in there for photography, but we have one person per profession, and it's great. We have about 30-something members right now. We were up to 50 at one time. And it's just spiraled my business, the relationships that I've built with past members too, because when they go, they still refer you and still use you if they leave the group. And the new ones that come in, you build more relationships with them. So
you
I
got
love it. I think it's great.
you got a pretty healthy group there.
Yeah, it's similar to like Toastmasters type of thing. It's a good thing for people who are afraid to be in front of people and talk in front of people. As you know, Toastmasters, because you've done that in the past. That's a good view for that. But BNI is the same, because every week we have 30 seconds to get up and talk to everybody there about what a good referral for our business is that week. And sometimes we have visitors there, and that right now we're doing it all through Zoom, but it's the same thing. You got to learn to talk in front of people. So it helps with your social skills too.
All right. One last item, then we'll close her down. Facebook user says, remember to post your Google My Business page. Use it the same way you would use other social media posts. So I got to say something on that.
Yeah, that's John Rumble.
Thanks, John. 4 or 5 years ago, I went to my Google, and you could put images in there. And I created categories. And then I went and renamed all the images that I was going to put in each category. So I put Sudbury wedding photographer, Sudbury boudoir photographer, Sudbury family photographer, Sudbury baby photographer. And I changed the data or the name and uploaded it into the Google page where I have my portfolio. I think that is really important, and it helps your Google ranking.
Yep.
Something to think about. So the last one I want to say right now, and I think this one's pretty vital, and we'll end up with that one, and it's called diet and exercise. It's really easy to become a couch potato. I've always been big on that, but you don't want to. There's probably going to be some fun memes and terms that are going to come up down the road to do with the COVID. 20 or something like that. It'll be like that extra 20 pounds you put on from being a couch potato.
The COVID bod.
Yeah. But one thing I had done, and this is the kind of stuff I do normally, is I created a list of all the people that I know that I can go for walks with and or talk on the phone just to connect. But I also put a list of all the activities that I feel are important to fight depression. Not that I'm plagued with depression, but you want to make sure that you're preemptively fighting what could, for many of us, be either anxieties and or depression. I call it my D list, and it's actually in my calendar. My daily journal. I put a bunch of my goals in front of my journal, and Post-its too.
Yep.
And I got everything highlighted. So first thing I read in the morning is that. And then on the second page, I got what's called, see this here? This is called my D list. Exercise, competition, hobbies, work, brotherhood, sleep and nutrition, positive people, action, and humor. So anything to combat darkness and or dark thoughts or dark moods that might afflict us. I think one of the most important things is to eat a proper diet and have good exercise and connecting with others. Now, I put brotherhood. You could, if you're a woman, call it sisterhood. I think it's important to connect with people of like mind, and something I thoroughly like. I mean, I couldn't imagine life without that. I just couldn't imagine it. Probably, I would put that as the number one thing.
Yep.
Above and beyond everything else.
It's true.
But eating a good diet is so important in exercising. So.
I'm getting better. I mean, you know me, I eat lots of junk, but I'm getting better. I'm drinking lots more water. That was one thing on my goals list I did with my personal coach there, and one was to drink water and get better shape. So, and I'm starting to exercise more using the bike or the treadmill downstairs. I went skating this weekend with my daughter for the first time this year.
Nice. I saw that on Facebook.
Yeah.
Didn't you post that?
We did. Yes, I did. So hopefully you can understand your little sticky notes afterwards, because I have in my wallet here, I shown Colleen, I have a sticky note in here, and it has some initials, and it looks like a phone number or something. I still don't know what it's about. I told Colleen, I said, I can't throw it away because I don't know what it is. It's got 3 letters and then some digits underneath that look like a phone number, but I have no clue what it is, what it means.
I do that all the time. Like, what the hell? And at the time, it was clear as day.
It reminds me of Seinfeld episode where he had, I guess, he woke up in the middle of the night and wrote a sticky note of some joke that came to his head, and then he went back to sleep. And then when he woke up the next day, to the life of him, he couldn't figure out what it meant, what it was from, why it was funny, and it was just little gibberish. And that he finally figures it out at the end, and it wasn't really as funny as he thought. But that's what it made me remind me of. I have the sticky note, and I have no clue what it's for or what it's about. I know it'll come one day, and I'll say that's what it was.
Probably not. Probably not. I know what you're kind of. Yeah, I do that all the time, and it drives me batty. So I know better now.
I think we've given people a lot of things to think about. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's just a matter of.
This has been good, John. Awesome.
I think so. I mean, we could go on for a couple hours with this. We could bring other. I'm sure a lot of people watching this could have a lot of ideas too.
Are you? Forgot about the fact that you were getting coached with that lady in your area. Any updates and news on that since last week, or?
Not really. Like she keeps on. We talk all the time because she's one of my best friends, so we talk all the time. Anyways, we don't always talk about that. But I even was bringing it up to her the other day. I saw her and I was telling her, hey, I've been drinking more water. I've been doing a little bit more exercise. And then I told her I'm actually going to skating with my daughter today. That was on Sunday, actually. I told her we're going skating to the trail because it just opened. So we went skating to that trail. We were there for about an hour. It was fun. We had a joy. And it's a good workout for me. I mean, my back, everything. And just getting back out in the fresh air and doing stuff. My wife and I went for a walk last week one day. We got out of the house and it just went around the block. Nothing major, but it got us back into the routine again. So...
Yeah.
Now if I can just get some weights now. But no, I keep in touch with her and I go through. What she did was she took my list right here, my goals list, and then she took a picture of that with her phone. And then a couple days later, she had made an email for me, or a text message, sorry, where she took that and made a whole half a page statement of what she goes, here, I'm going to send this to you, and this is what you're going to read yourself every morning to keep with these goals. And so
nice.
I have it on my phone, so when I wake up in the morning I can look at it. What I'm going to do next, I told my wife, because I have a habit of not looking at it on my phone, I'm actually going to print it out a couple times, and maybe I'll have it here hanging in the studio, at home in our bedroom or something, right by my clothes thing there, so that when I wake up it's right there saying this is what you got to do. And but she wrote it more in a sentence form where I'm supposed to read it as if I'm talking to myself,
Right.
and just reiterating everything I put on here and putting it in an easier way to do it. So
That's
something
amazing.
new to me is the goals thing, like you do all the time. But I'll get used to it. So
Yep. We got to start somewhere. Thanks
Yep.
for that. I appreciate the update on that. John Rumble says, getting old, Rob. Yes, we're getting old.
hey, he clicked on the link. We can actually see his name there now.
We're getting older. You know, one thing I noticed that a lot of photographers, they age well. There was that guy who was doing the wall portrait out in the western Washington state. He died sadly of a car accident. He was 82 years old. Who's the photographer from Canada, from Toronto? Al Gilbert was shooting up until his 80s. And you can stay in this game if you're young at heart and you have the right attitude, and if you constantly are innovating and reinventing yourself. It's an easy industry to constantly plug into those elements. So
When I was shooting weddings, I found it kept me in good shape when I was doing a lot through the summer, because you're on your feet for 12 hours that day, and you're doing squats a lot all the day because you're going up and down with that lens and up and down and squatting, and that it was good. But I don't do weddings anymore, so
yeah, well, I like weddings and they pay well. So when somebody tells me, when they try and sound like they're being funny, or they're trying to put you down by saying that you're old, which I think is a weak argument, by the way. Well, it's like, oh, you're old. Okay. So I'll say what? You're, 26 years old? I'm 62.
yeah.
And they're trying to be a smartass, right? And I'll say, look, it's only if you're lucky, you'll make it to 62. If you're lucky.
These days, yeah.
And it's been a hell of a good life, and I got to tell you this much: time is an illusion. So the difference between you and me is a complete illusion.
Yep.
And they're like, "What? What's he talking about? What?"
Well, I couldn't believe it too, because I when I asked you and you told me you were 62 the one time, I'm like, you are not. I would never have thought that. I mean, you do things that people in their 30s and 40s do still. So You're in better shape than I am. I have to get myself in better shape. This is my curls, is when I'm doing this. That's my curls. So
you
I
gotta
got to
get
get
out for a
myself
walk,
out there.
son.
And I used to have abs at one time.
All you got to do is go for a walk a day. That's all you got to do. Start there.
Definitely.
All right. Well, John, I really appreciate you taking your time out of your lockdown schedule and all and doing this.
No worries.
And,
Luckily, I have my wife here to do a lot of my editing for me.
Nice.
So,
crack that editing whip.
yeah. But I got to get down to some I have some portrait, pinups I have to do. So, because we did a video and I have to get them ready for the video and stuff.
So the replay will be in the group. And next Wednesday, we'll do it again. We hope to get...
we'll see if we can get Warren for that.
We'll see if we can get Warren. He doesn't know yet.
And if you want to give a little plug for your thing with your daughter that you're doing.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Tomorrow night, we'll have a lighting mastermind at 7 o'clock. It's 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 7 o'clock Central Time. It's in the group. If you want to join us, I asked my daughter to come on because last Sunday she did a winter shoot for a commercial gig for a real estate agency. They wanted to go outside 25 below zero. You go, girl. So she did it. She said it worked out really, really well.
Good for her.
So I have a bunch of shoots, and I also have a video from 2 family shoots I did in December in similar but not as cold, which were pretty good family shoots I did outdoors. And a bunch of other stuff. And my lighting masterminds, stuff that I'm doing that has to do with lighting. John, if you have any that you want to join us, that would be an awesome pleasure and an honor to have you if you want to join us.
I can take a look and see, for sure. I'll be probably watching it at least, so...
So that's tomorrow night. Just put the group. I put the link to you have to register for that one because we're using the Zoom software for that. Do join us, and it's awesome. So we'll see you guys live. So John says, great session, gents. Thanks. Thank you, John. Thanks. Yeah, appreciate the feedback.
Thank you,
Hart
guys.
says the same thing.
Hey, we couldn't do these if people weren't going to watch them, so I'm glad that people are actually enjoying them and watching them, and they're just going to get better the more people we bring on. So.
Yeah, we age well. We're like fine wine, you and I, John.
Yeah, and I'm going to get, once we get the nice logo from that awesome graphic designer that you're talking about there, Danielle, we'll change this up a little bit. So
absolutely. I'll get on her case a little bit there.
No worries. But no, right. I think we went an hour and a half here, a little longer than normal, but we had a lot of information to throw in there. So
pure gold.
Exactly. So we'll be back next week, and hopefully we'll have a special guest, and keep watching Rob's posts there, and I'll send a link again, like before. Usually a day or two before, I send a little update of what's going to happen on the show and when it is, so you guys can plan your schedules around it. So
cool.
All right. Until next week.
We're out of here.